Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So I made a video not too long ago that I wanted to explain to you, and then I'll play it for you. When I came across the video, the title was very infuriating. However, I believe in free speech. I don't think the person should be censored. I think people should chastise them. I think they should try to debate them. I think we should have a peaceful discussion and get to the bottom of it. But the video, I believe, is designed first and foremost to try to bring in unfair censorship. And the people doing it, they're psychopaths, right? 1 in 5 CEOs are said to be psychopaths. And over the years, the government has invested billions of dollars, and so have other governments, in powerful psychology that often, first and foremost, emphasizes oppressing black people and provoking them to reinforce the despicable falsehood that is the eugenic racist, that is the racial order that's presented by liars, by eugenicists. And so they want to portray black people a certain way. That's why projects are called projects. There's certain people of color there, certain types of people of color there, and certain types of poor white people there historically. And they want to portray them in a certain light. So that person comes off as like a crypto-Jew or something. Keep in mind, I'm a very disciplined person. I might get angry, but I'll go home, I'll go to my room, I'll make a video, maybe I'll yell in my car, but I won't kind of confront people. I won't lash out on people, what have you. So you got to understand several things, and I want to make this intro very short here. One is that when you make videos that are clearly unfair and they're clearly downplaying the fact that, black people never got on their feet after slavery, that not every black person who complains is the type of person who's just trying to get over. Most of them who complain aren't just trying to get over. And even those people who are just trying to get over, often their complaints have a lot of truth in them. Okay, when you play stupid about that, it's racist as hell, it's ignorant. I've been studying this for a long time as a biracial person with no ulterior motives. I was engaged to a white woman. I'm not racist. And I can tell you with certainty that when it comes to races doing each other wrong, white people have done black people far, 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 far more wrong than black people have done white people. I mean, look at people starving to death in the world. Are they not disproportionately black? Okay, and whose policies are bringing them down? Right, we look at these Western-themed governments all over the world, right? Basically every government in the world has like a Western-themed government. And some points they were communist, some other governments, they're capitalist, they're proxy governments, they're puppet leaders. Everyone knows that. Look at the NATO alliance. Look at the history of the Cold War. The proxy wars were like the central part of the Cold War, damn near, if not the central part. So everyone knows that the reason why so many countries are suffering is because of the policies of rich white, rich Jewish, and rich LGBT people. The Jewish people being one of the more pronounced, the white Jews, who are one of the most pronounced factions of people we refer to as white. Quite often, historically, we couldn't tell, and to some degree it's still true, which white people are Jews and which white people are other types of white people. So, when you make the argument and you say that phrase, quote unquote, we was, and the last word kings, you're insulting Martin Luther King, okay, and what he stood for. Even if he wasn't a perfect person, even if he had more skeletons in his closet than we think, you're insulting the idea of a great righteous person. So though it is fair to draw into question the character of Martin Luther King Jr. with facts, with objective facts, that's not what the person was doing. They were doing a form of racial supremacy, a form of racist harassment, and they're harassing the black community and the black people of the world together at the same time, as well as the left and anyone who feels sorry for black people, who are basically the most oppressed people on the planet. Okay, now I'm not saying every black person is more oppressed than every other type of person. There are plenty of black people in America in many ways who in many ways are much less oppressed than, say, Hispanic immigrants. Okay, but I am saying in some total form they're the most targeted race on the planet. So even if you were just to look at what they do to Africans, black Africans, white people cause them a lot of harm, and they use their money and power to do so. And so you see this privileged white person, he comes with he's pretending to represent God and I, when I've proven beyond a reasonable doubt that I'm Christ, okay? That's the logical interpretation of the Bible, the top martial arts interpretation, not some Flanders, not some Catholic or Protestant or Orthodox interpretation. They have a long history of confessionalism. They have a long history of things of that nature. They have a long history of Klan-like activity, Inquisition. No one who's serious takes them seriously. And no one who's serious takes these Christian identity and white supremacist podcasters seriously. I mean, they're a complete joke. It goes without saying that I was right and I'm right to be angry. If you're going to throw haymakers at black people with an emphasis on me, because you say when we was last word kings, and I'm actually from the royal family of Dr. Martin Luther King's tribe, I'm going to take that seriously. And I'm actually the king of kings, the top martial artist. I'm going to take that seriously. If every rabbi and priest on the planet, every preacher, minister, bishop, you name it, got together and they said, hey, it's all of our opinions versus the top martial artists, they would look stupid compared to me. They would look so stupid. I convey spiritual power, they just talk. And the Bible says the kingdom of heaven is not a matter of mere talk. It's a matter of power. Pow, ear, the spirit, spear, it, the sword of scripture, the sword. So when some sissy, starts running his mouth and starts pretending like there magically was no, what there obviously was, respectable black kings, boy, do they look stupid as hell. Boy, do they look dumb. Everyone knows that the spectrum of black masculinity goes beyond the other races. And again, I'm not a black supremacist. I deal in facts. It's a fact the best boxers, almost all of them, were black. It's a fact that the best basketball players and football players, almost all of them, are black. And I'm not racist. And it's a fact that the most respectable kings in history, as far as the objective facts, not religious speculation or misinterpretation of religious books, okay, they were black. So how are you going to go from that to saying, well, let's say some bitch shit, and then say it in a very toxic and snake-like way? So yes, I had to put you in your place. And yes, I'm proud of putting you in your place. And I have a question for you, how does it feel to be put in your place by Christ himself while you're misrepresenting me? Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. This video is a response to a video by NXR Studios. And it's somebody who's not authorized by God attempts to speak on behalf of God. Let me be very clear here. No one is authorized by God to speak about God in a way that suggests they have authority or they know what's best, except for me. I am Christ. I'm in charge. The state persecuted me does not change that. In the story when Christ was put on the cross, that doesn't change the fact that Christ is in charge. So whether he was being stoned by Jews or chased around by Jews or they're trying to push him off a cliff or whatever, that doesn't change the fact. I'm in charge. I am in charge. Not the whites, not the Jews, not the American government, not the Israeli government, not the damn King of England, not the Pope. I'm in charge. Again, I am in charge. Now with that being said, I'm not a racial supremacist, but your video was obviously designed to really kick black people while they're down. There isn't an adult of average intelligence in America, or better, who doesn't know that the history of America does not favor white people. White Jews and LGBT people exploited black people, they oppressed them, they worked together to keep them down, and some black people sold them out. It's pretty straightforward. If we look at Nazi Germany, right, Hitler was like the bell that rings the loudest when it comes to Nazis of being a bad person, right? He was the worst of the worst kind of thing, right? So the people who are in charge, who should have been doing a lot better job, are the ones who are the most responsible. You went as far as to make the extremely despicable claim that white people in America were displaying morality. That is outrageous. I mean, are you insane? Okay, look at the history of homelessness, the history of the criminal justice system. Okay, are you insane? It wasn't just during slavery or during the Native American genocide, in that particular period of time that people often refer to as the Native American genocide, that white people were performing in a way that was rather regrettable, to say the least. Okay, white people in America as a sum total group, right? Some of them, did better things than others, but as a sum total group have never portrayed morality, ever. And the Bible agrees with me, not with you. It says narrow is the way to life and broad is the way to destruction. And you argued, as someone who looks like a crypto-Jew or some maybe crypto-Italian, it's hard to say what your race is, but you definitely look crypto-Jewish. Okay, you argued that they were portraying morality. And you went as far as to say the we was kings phrase. Hebrew is an Afro-Asiatic language. It's not a Eurasiatic language. So yes, black people are kings. When we think about the kings in history, we don't think Julius Caesar was more manly than Shaka Zulu. Call it a hunch. We don't think that. We don't think that some guy in Europe who's malnutritioned in Northern Europe, who's a skinny guy, was tougher than Nigerian warriors in Africa. We do not think that as a society. We don't think it's a coincidence that Mike Tyson is like the greatest boxer in American history, even though black people are only 12% of America. So when you sit there and you pretend that white people are magically the pinnacles of royalty or Jews, it is laughable. There's a reason a king wears a sword. The king wears a sword, not a thong like you wear. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Who the hell do you think you are? It's called the Lord Almighty, not the Lord Pesky, not Willow Offsgood, not King George. I mean, what don't you get? How many of you doubt that Shaka Zulu was the man compared to King George? How many of you doubt that? What, King Louis, King George? What, have you lost your mind? What, King Charles? What, are you a fucking idiot? You really don't understand there's some kind of fucking pussy compared to African warrior kings? You don't fucking get that? Why do you think David fought Goliath in single combat? You know them by their fruit. You know them by their fruit. Do people look for the greatest kings amongst a bunch of feeble European kings? Or perhaps Harry Potter or Adam Sandler is related to the greatest kings in history? How could you, who doesn't have a single speck of masculinity in your being, turn around and criticize people who are way closer to God than you are? Are whites or Jews called soul brothers? No. I'm not a black supremacist. When I see your despicable and racist way that you claim to represent God, it is disturbing. I'm biracial. Half of me is dominant genes and half is recessive. Naturally, God said the black man has the more dominant genes. But you're going to sit there insulting them as if you have the moral high ground. You don't. You're some kind of privileged coward. Shame on you and your family. I, Christ, say to you and your family, shame on you.